So we've got a lot going on with business, and we've got a lot of cool family stuff coming up as well. Super excited about. We're Noah, our oldest grandson, and we call him the OG, the original grandson. He and I are going to be going to Washington, D.C. on a field trip a week from, actually we're going to be heading up on the 27th of March and then coming back on the 29th. So it's going to be kind of a whirlwind couple days. We got a lot of sightseeing going on. I'm going to help chaperone a bunch of 8th graders, including my grandson. So that's going to be really cool, very exciting. And we're going to see the Capitol building and the White House and all kinds of stuff. And then we're going to come back late Saturday night. And then Sunday, we are heading out on a Disney cruise with kids and grandkids, which will be super exciting. You want to talk about that a little bit? I know you've been doing a lot of follow-up on different activities and things that we're going to be doing with that, and it's
one of those things where, being as busy as we have been working like 15-hour days, like in a row, like through the whole weekend, which is obviously a blessing, but it also it's a little tiring, right? But we are kind of like, I feel like ninja schedulers in terms of, making sure that we can go on that Disney vacation. And in your case, it's like even longer because you're going to be gone the first 3 days and you're going to literally come back at night and then we're leaving the next morning to go on the Disney cruise. You're going to have to be packed before you even go, which is great. But I like to line up all of our closings and inspections and everything before we go and when we get back. So that way, everything in the middle while we're gone, there's nothing that, really needs to be tended to. We have everything done ahead and behind when we get back. So everything, there's no crisis or fires or anything while we're gone. So
and recognition to Mike Lindley from the brokerage for helping
he always
do follow
helps us
up.
if we
He's
do happen
amazing.
to get a buyer that needs to see something.
So if we have any follow up items, then
yeah.
we can count on Mike to help
We have
us
a
with
great
those
team.
things that need to be dealt with in person. What are you most excited about as far as the cruise itself?
Well, the first time we went on the Disney cruise, I should say the last time we went, Noah was 5 and Rowan was like 18, maybe Noah was 6 and 18 months, right? The two boys. And now this time we're taking 14 on the Disney cruise. We have a 14-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, and 2 1-year-olds. So, we were talking about it and we thought, you know what, we really should go on the Disney cruise about every 4 or 5 years because, the next age group's up. We have 2 pregnant daughters as well. So, in 4 years from now, they'll be ready to go.
Having to set sail before it's 24, they're 24 weeks.
Yeah. So we had to pitch, make that the certain time. But I'm super excited just because, I personally, I like to do that scavenger hunt thing that's
a lot of fun.
Even if nobody does it with me, I'm going to do it. But I'm sure there's going to be a couple of them that'll do it with me. But it takes you all over the boat. I'm super excited about that. And I'm excited about Pirate Night. But I'm also excited about seeing the girls. We have some Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo appointments for the couple of the granddaughters. They're going to get in their princess outfits. So
and Pop Up and Gigi, we have our pirate outfits
already.
We
have our pirate outfits, yep.
So it'll be very exciting.
All get into it, for sure.
very chic pirate looks.
You always look
like
Toby Keith when you dress up. I'm not really sure why that is, but
okay, sure.
I like Toby Keith, so it's all right.
Sure I do. Okay. And the other thing too is the food is just amazing. I mean, the food and the service is just incredible on the Disney cruises. So we're super excited about that.
Yep.
Also wanted to talk about just for a moment or two, just kind of reflect on what we're thankful for and maybe some of the different vendor partners that we have out there that have just done an incredible job for us and helped us follow up and get things, taken care of in a very timely fashion. I mean, one I wanted to call out was definitely Travis, who's just like a handyman extraordinaire, who we were able to get him to basically coordinate with a plumber that was doing
amazing.
Doing a repipe
on a short-term rental, no less.
On a short-term
rental. So we
rental.
had a week, boom, boom, boom. Timing was everything. I mean, and we were there was poured concrete, quick dry. Yeah. Next day, tile laid, vanity put back. It was amazing. And then the renters were coming in. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. It was,
and he totally jumped in there and does it. He does
amazing.
An amazing job.
And it was just an incredible job too.
Yeah.
It just looked absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
I also want to recognize the Happy Palms team, Kelsey and Patrick.
Yeah.
They are just fantastic with their service and their follow-up, and we've had them help us many, many times with forecasts on the potential for different short-term rental properties all throughout the county.
Yes.
They're super knowledgeable. They've got a compliance department that knows all the ins and outs and everything that's going on.
And we use them for, just so in case people wonder, we do a lot of investors.
Yep.
We have a lot of investors that come down, different kinds of investors. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. But, some of the investors, they want a property either to rent out, either short-term or long-term, or like a second home and possibly rental as well. And so because of that, sometimes the ones that want the short-term rental, we really need to be able to project what kind of income they can have, And Happy Palms is the one. They are so good at giving us the forecast and doing all that, those numbers for us.
Yep, and they just provide great service after the fact as well. But it's really nice too, because then those investors know what that debt service is going to look like, what the income production is going to be for the property, and they can even kind of block out different scenarios to factor in their personal usage and what that income figure is going to look like. So kudos to them for that.
They are definitely a big part of our team.
Yep.
For sure.
And then in-house, Brenda, our transaction coordinator, is just phenomenal. Her follow-up is just incredible, and she's always there, and she kind of even anticipates different things that we need help with. So a lot of recognition and thanks to Brenda for that.
Yep.
And at our brokerage, last but certainly not least, is our broker, Garrett.
Yeah, he's all right.
He is
he's amazing.
He's amazing, and he's always helping us to look at different ways to fine-tune and tweak and improve upon current processes, and to really ensure that we're adding value to our clients, existing clients that we've helped with previous properties, as well as new clients, and helping us to just grow our business. So
he's always on the forefront of technology too.
Yep.
Which is, I love that, because there's a lot of realtors in Florida.
I get at least a couple of nuggets or takeaways every time I meet with him.
Right, but he helps us really be in the front edge of the industry.
Yep. So very, very
Leading
thankful.
Edge,
Very thankful for all those folks. Shifting gears a little bit, I know there's a lot of people out there right now who there's some confusion about, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What's going on? And I know you did some extensive research recently on the condo market, for instance, and maybe you could talk a little bit about kind of what some of your findings were with that, with the condo market.
When we all go to realtor school and we get our license, we're taught, anything under 6 months, it's a seller's market of inventory. We're talking about inventory, meaning that 6 months worth of inventory means it would take 6 months in order to sell everything we have if no other listings came on the market. And we were always told under 6 months is a seller's market, 6 to 7 months is a neutral market, over 7 months is a buyer's market. And when you look at our inventory now, it's definitely rising quite a bit. But really, those numbers seem super antiquated. And come to find out, those numbers were actually done in the 80s when people still had MLS books. Like, we didn't have the internet and the MLS and Zillow and all these things that move real estate much quicker. So those are really antiquated numbers. And honestly, I kind of believe a neutral market is about 3.25 to 4 months of inventory. Mm-hmm. And once you start getting over the 4 month, you're kind of moving more into buyer territory, buyer's market territory. So, and I think we're seeing that in our market with concessions that are being offered and sellers are paying them, the amount of inventory that we have. But there's a big difference, a big disparity between condos and single-family homes, condos and townhomes grouped together. And then
certain price points of condos even more so.
Right, and single-family homes. So, let's just take the condo market. We know there's a big brouhaha with that. There's a whole big flux of inventory that has come in. I think the whole Brevard County average for condos and townhomes on the market, the inventory is like 8 months, all of them. But I was recently doing comps for one of our new listings, and I segmented out a zip code, and I segmented out a price range. And so one of the zip codes, actually in Satellite Beach, and I did 600,000 to 1 million, and the inventory level was 14 months. I couldn't believe it. I was like, 14 months. Wow. That really makes a big difference. And that's a whole other strategy thing on if you're like on the cusp on, for pricing and whatnot. But wow, that's significant. Right. So yeah, I was really kind of surprised by that. But the average, currently right now, this will be on whenever somebody sees this, it'll be completely different, I'm sure, when they watch the video. But right now, yeah, the whole month is 8 months. But single family homes, it's much different. It's moving closer to 4. We're really like at 3.5 months, I think, right now.
Yeah.
For Brevard County, not specific.
And the key in both of those instances is strong marketing and proper pricing.
Proper pricing. Gosh, that is like, well, I mean, we take quite a few listings, and the sellers that, we give them all the data. We do the same for all of our clients, right? We give them the data, and then sometimes sellers are like, let's just go a little bit, let's just push it a little bit higher or whatever. And, this is most definitely not that market. And the ones that listen to us, because we always want to get the most for our sellers, right? We don't ever try to undercut anything. But, what is your goal? Do you want to sell it? Is there a timeline? Whatever. And the ones that listen, we get it under contract. And actually, there are multiple offers out there. When things are priced properly, there are lots of buyers still out there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So.
Yep. One thing, I mean, we do have more inventory right now, but of course that can turn very quickly. Right now we're trending around 5,300, 5,400 active listings in Brevard County for total
condos and single family homes.
Condos and single family homes and townhomes. Of course that can, with an interest rate drop or, some influx with a new employer or different things that can happen, that can change very dramatically where those inventory levels could drop or rise.
I think every time it ticks down, more buyers come into the market.
Yep.
I think the sweet spot I recently heard I think it was Brian Buffini said, 5.8 interest rate is the sweet spot for buyers and for sellers. For sellers who maybe have that 2 or 3% interest rate, but are afraid to give that up to buy at a higher interest rate, that 5.8% interest rate is the one that they seem to think that's. But for sure, buyers so if the rates get there, it's going to be another crazy free-for-all market, and everything's going to evaporate, the inventory.
So with more inventory on the market, and some people are wanting to take it upon themselves to save on real estate commissions and sell a property themselves, or try to line up a buyer for a property themselves and kind of eliminate the whole commission structure.
Right.
So I know we had a situation recently where we stepped in to help out.
Well, we were going to take a listing, and the seller actually got to buy it. Her next door neighbor wanted to buy it, so we actually handled it off market, but she didn't want to not use us she really values expertise. Like you would want to use an attorney for something, she wanted to use a real estate because we've already done a couple deals with her, and it was really super smart of her because honestly, the buyer had an agent from out of the area, from South Florida, and the offer that was presented to us was
a little sloppy.
Oh, not even a little. It was the worst offer I have ever seen written, especially for the person he was representing, especially for the buyer. And there's so many terms. People think it's just price, and price is like one of the smallest important parts of the whole contract. Really, you've got things like in this particular case, there was a first right of refusal, which means that anybody in that complex could take the contract. Right? They have to wait to see if anybody in the complex wants that contract, and if they do, they get to take the contract. That buyer doesn't get it.
Well, in which case, that buyer, if they've already done an inspection and an appraisal,
which I'm getting to.
Yeah.
So in this particular contract, the first right of refusal was 15 days, and this particular contract had a 7-day inspection period and a 15-day financing contingency, which means all of her contingencies to get her escrow back would all expire on the last day of the first right of refusal. So when we do contracts, when we have we don't even start the inspection until after the first right of refusal, because we don't want our buyer to spend any money on an inspection that they might not even get to buy the property, right?
Yep.
So there was those things, but then there was more things, getting the inspection and coming up for the inspection. This agent didn't even drive up for the inspection, didn't drive up. So, we representing the seller, it was in our best interest of our seller. We opened the door for the client or the inspector and the appraisers. And, but, it's just really, I think, really important. if you're going to have representation, have somebody that is perhaps in the area or will go to the house or the property or familiar. Because there were so many ways this could have gone bad sideways. In fact, we weren't even sure till the day we closed if it was really going to happen. And, as agents, we're advocating, is the escrow there? And we let everybody know, have the funds been wired yet? Are they approved? All these things that are behind the scenes that people don't always realize that that's what agents are doing. Because if you were two people by yourselves, working with the title company, knowing what's going on, they don't always do.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the time
true.
they don't.
That's a good point.
One of the things that you and I are starting to see a little bit more of are that contingency on the sale of your property, the buyer's property, contingency on the sale of the buyer's property. And, that market that we had a couple of years ago, nobody would take one of those, right? Because there was multiple offers and there was tons of buyers competing with each other. Well, now things have shifted a little bit and buyers are seeing properties that they want to buy. Maybe they're, growing and upsizing or downsizing, whatever it is. And they want a property that they have, but they have their house that they need to sell. And in this market where there's a lot more inventory, things are taking longer to sell, is that even a possibility? And would their offer even get accepted with a contingency on the sale of buyer's property?
Absolutely, it could.
Right. We're starting to see that now. That's one of the signs that the market is definitely shifted towards a buyer's market where there's a little bit more option. But as an agent, when we have a client that comes to us and says, I want this property, and we know they have a property to sell in order to get that, they can't just buy it, all of a sudden that's a whole different strategy that goes into play, because a lot of times if you have a contingency to sell a buyer's property, then it usually needs to be on the market at least, right? And we always seem to get these people that only want that one property. They find one property that they want, and that's only the one that they want. And if they can't get that one, then they're not selling their house. Well, that's even extra stress and extra strategy, right? But, it's really, I think, transparency with the other agent, explaining what our strategy is going to do, what we're pricing the other one at. It's going to go into coming soon. If you accept this, we're going to put it in right now. We'll have, as soon as photos are done, we've got it on the market. This is the price that we're doing it at. And there's a whole strategy that goes into that just to get your offer accepted on the house that you're buying, but then also to move this other house. And I think we're actually pretty good at that. We actually have had great success. I mean, knock on wood, but it's not luck. I think there's a lot of strategy that goes into doing that and planning, and it's the whole tightrope.
A specific time-sensitive marketing campaign that's going to really...
And communication with the other agents, letting them have confidence, knowing you're communicating constantly. You're not hiding things, and this is our plan, this is what we're doing, and these are what the results are, this is how many showings we've had. And I think it gives them a little bit more peace of mind to tell to the seller or to the buyer.
Well, and
seller
really
of the buyer property.
Having a firm grasp of the seller's needs, intentions, where do they need to be with that property, so we make sure that we absolutely price it right.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, you've got to price it to sell, but also,
if you've got to market and sell a property and close on a property in 45 days to secure the deal on the other property, then you have no time to waste.
No time to waste. And, I don't know, you and I just always seem to rise to the challenge, and really, I love it because we'll be at night we'll be deep diving the comps, and we'll be talking about things because we want no hang-ups. We don't want appraisal issues. We want to make sure that this is nailed down, dialed down tight for the price, and we know it'll move. And things are priced right, they definitely move, for sure.
Well, and just looking at that, I mean, we've had just dozens of instances of those scenarios where we basically would beat the average time on market by just dramatic amounts. Like average time on market to close is 3 months, and we managed to close it in 35 days.
What's funny is I don't even look at that stat because I feel like I think a lot of people do look at that stat. I just look at every property individually and come up with a plan and whatever the seller's needs are, what they're wanting to do, their timeline and everything. Because I think I would get paralyzed if I looked at that stat. I wouldn't want that to drive how I do things. You know what I mean? I just try to sell the properties for them based according to their
but you still have to have a knowledge of the general market trends. But there's
you do.
There's ways to optimize those.
But I don't look at our own numbers. I don't look at that.
Right. We've also got a few folks right now that are first-time home buyers, and there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of apprehension. They have a lot of trepidation about finding the right house and working with them to understand what all of their expenses are going to be in that purchase, and how much negotiability is realistic with presenting offers on homes that they want to purchase and getting the appropriate closing cost support that they need as a first-time home buyer. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about just strategies for first-time home buyers and what their expectations should be when they're looking for that first property in this market.
Well, there's a lot of different types of first-time home buyers. There's a lot of different price points, right? So you don't want to just assume that every first-time home buyer is going to be $300,000 or less.
No, not at all.
And I think that the budget, of course, determines a lot about the quality of the homes that you're probably seeing. So let's just go with the first-time home buyer that has a lower budget, under $300,000. Typically, I'm just going to say typically, you're not going to get a brand new construction home. Typically, you're going to have an older home that's had some updates, some things. It's not going to be perfect, and shiny and new, like the new construction that everybody wants shiny and new. But it'll have new things. It's not that it wouldn't have a new roof or anything, things like that. It can. But the expectation is to know that you get to make it your own. Again, what location do you want to be? And if you're in a place that, because you want to be close to work and it tends to be a little bit higher price point anyway, the average is higher in that area. Well, now you've got a double thing that you need to just be okay with putting your own spin on things, putting that sweat equity into it. If you don't like the floors, you can change the floors. You can change the paint color. You can change the countertops. All those things can be changed, right? And then when we go into offer, we can ask for closing costs. We can ask for, even 6% in closing costs. Just depends. You don't come in under, like if it's a $300,000 house, you're not going to offer $250 and 6% closing costs. That's probably not going to happen, right? That's not a realistic type thing. But there's lots of options, lots of ways to work it so that they can afford it.
So there's a lot of 55 plus communities in Brevard County. I know one that we keep coming back to, and I know one that we're very connected to is Heritage Isle.
Yep.
My mom, lives there over on the water in a nice, pretty updated condo over there. And we've had several clients who have helped sell homes in Heritage Isle and purchase homes in Heritage Isle. So what are some of the things that you kind of find unique about that community?
I think Heritage Isle is probably it's very well run, very well maintained. And I don't even know how old it is. I think some of the houses are in the 90s, late 90s is when they started in there. And it's a gated community, right? So security for, in fact, we have a client right now. She's a single older woman. And we just sold her villa to another single older woman, but the security, as a single woman, in your 70s, 80s, I think security is a big thing, and I love it because there's not just one type of home. You've got the condos, you've got the villas, single family homes, duplexes, a whole bunch of variety
homes
of things.
On the water.
Yeah. And so I think the security issue or security factor, I should say, is a great thing of Heritage Isle. But it's beautiful. The grounds are so well maintained. And the clubhouse, it's got a great workout room. They've got a huge auditorium. They do all kinds of, bring in comedians and all kinds of entertainment.
Musical entertainment,
yeah. They have a restaurant on site, which, when you're older, who wants to cook? You do that all the time when you're raising kids and stuff. And who wants to, you just want to go have a drink with some friends, sit by the pool or the water. And it's got all of that. It's got a beautiful library. It's got, I know so many of my clients play cards that are in there. And they have a great card room and billiards, tons of things. And I know a ton of people in there. They plan trips together. It's just a very active community, but it's also got great quiet areas and it's tranquil. And the lakes are so well maintained.
Scenic walkways and bikeways.
Tons, miles of walkways inside there. I think they have a relationship. I'm not positive. I think they have a relationship with Durand Golf Club as well. So if you like to golf, I know that there's a back entrance to the golf club over there. So, but I think that if you are somebody looking for, an active lifestyle, and I just gave 2 clients, like 70s and 80s, but honestly, it's 55 and up. There's tons of young people that's still working.
And the great thing too, if you like to travel, also you're close to 2 international airports are close by. You've got all kinds of.
It's on the hospital grid, for power. You don't have to worry about
power outage.
Yeah, very rarely.
Very rarely. And lots of great restaurants and
It's a golf cart community. So
Yep.
if you're one of those people that loves to have a golf cart, you can drive around. They have that Christmas parade golf cart thing going on in there. It's just a really fun place, I think, to downsize to if you wanted to. But honestly, there's some big single family homes in there as well. I guess maybe some California, New Yorkers that have giant homes. It's a downsizer to go to a 2,500 square foot home, but there's some of those in there as well. It's just beautiful. So I think it's a great community, and I think I've sold homes to clients in there. They move around inside there. Like they might come into a villa, but then once they're there, they want to move to a single family home, or some of them want to move down to the condos. Like it's hilarious. They just move around. They love the community.
Feel connected to the community, and then they want to stay in the community, which is a great sign.
It's a great sign. So that's just one of many that we have here, but yeah, it's just one we're currently working with right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think is important typically to folks that are looking for that, that 55? I mean, Heritage Isle obviously has a lot of those great things. Mm-hmm. Security is something that's important,
right,
to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think the maintenance-free aspect is also
100%. Yeah. Who wants to mow their grass in Florida heat? Like that's the pits. Yeah. So yeah, definitely maintenance free. They have like a cadence every, I think 5 years or 5 to 7 years. They do painting on the outside. The roofs are taken care of, and all the different types of properties in there have their own type of different HOA fees. So condos are different. It's a different association within the big Heritage Isle Association.
But it's geared towards that specific structure.
They have so many things. Yeah, pickleball, all of the stuff, right? But yeah, I think security. Typically, you want a place that you're going to feel secure in, that you're going to feel safe in, and then the location of it too. Like you said, proximity to 95, going to the airports, but also all the shopping, the avenues is all right there. The hospital, literally, VR Hospital is right down the street. You're on the hospital grid for power. The zoo, there's so many great things out here in VR. Everything's new and fresh and fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good one. And there's Bridgewater. There's additional.
Yeah, Grand Isle is one of the older ones that is pristine and beautiful. All single family homes in there, very well run.
And Alamanda Key over in West Melbourne.
The Key West homes, yeah.
Key West style homes, kind of cool with the metal roofs and the Key West coloring and some nice water features.
They've got some new ones building in Palm Bay off of that St. John Parkway. They've got a new one coming up down there. So yeah, I think they're becoming very popular. Like you said, the maintenance-free aspect of it, and just sort of that's a certain season of your life where you're around other neighbors in sort of the same season, so that social aspect, I think, is a big part of those type of communities.
Yep. No, I agree.
So one of the things I love about our investors is a lot of them, some live here, but most don't. I would say most of our investor clients are from out of state or even out of the country. Mm-hmm. In fact, we just had an out-of-state seller asked us to sell his condo for him, and we went by, he had a 10-year tenant in there, and the place was
it's a little rough,
really rough, and smoked. She wasn't supposed to smoke it. It had been smoked in for 10 years, and yeah, the dog, whatever, like carpets had to come up, and we were like, okay, this is a fixer-upper. We ripped up all the carpeting, and we tried to, clean the walls as best we could, just so it would, if somebody came to see it. We ended up getting a Canadian investor who was very excited about it. And we're under contract. We're going to close soon, but we just got to meet them for the first time. That's the part that I love. Yeah. So they came down to see it, and I said, is it everything you hoped it would be? Because it's a fixer-upper. But it was really cool because she was going to knock down this one wall and see what they're going to do. And I love seeing the vision of what our clients have. And I said, you have to let us come up here, let us know when you're here, and we can, actually, these people move in. They actually live in the place as they're doing it, which I think is kind of a neat concept. And he even said it really gives you incentive. I could talk with my hands so much. It gives you incentive to really get it done faster when you're living there. But yeah, I can't wait to see the end product because they have some great ideas. It's going to be beautiful.
Yep.
So that's probably one of my favorite things about this job is seeing, the dreams of our clients and then watch them come into fruition with whatever they're doing with those properties.
We've had just dozens of investors over the past couple of years that we've helped put into all sorts of different properties, whether it's, oceanfront condos that allow short-term rentals or, a real popular one has been townhouses that are, close to the beach that don't have an HOA because you can really have much less of a monthly outflow to maintain that property, and you still have the autonomy to be able to do short-term rentals with it in many instances in certain communities, and you can really produce a very appealing rental.
Yeah, property. I think recently too, we've been having a lot of buyer consultations with new first-time investors who've been asking us to kind of help coach them, help them find a property, and we ask them these questions. What is it that you're wanting to do with this property? And we kind of walk them through and maybe think of some of the questions that they maybe didn't think of, or just to kind of help curve the learning for them, right? And it's been really fun too to help these first-time. Not first-time buyer, but first-time investors.
With those, the great thing about that too is having partnerships with folks like Happy Palms,
yes.
where they can, they're managing hundreds of properties, so they can really drill down and find out what that income potential is for that property, and we can kind of work up a pro forma for that client as far as, hey, this is what you're likely to experience as far as your gross income level. And we've got other partners that can help us figure out what their expenses are going to be for insurance and taxes and everything, where they can just kind of figure out what all those carrying costs are going to be, or the maintenance costs are going to be for that property, and kind of figure out where they need to be in order to produce the income level that they need to feel comfortable moving forward with that investment.
And then on the design side, they're also really great for that as well. Like our client in Indian Harbor Beach that we just went by and saw. He was in the middle, almost done with it. He did a brand new pool area. He's really been making it great, but he's doing it solely to attract renters, right? The short-term renters. And there's so many cool different themes and ideas and things that are great. And it's just fun. I like the design side of it too. And to make sure that they stay within those numbers, right? You can go crazy. You're not living there. They're not living there. You're just making it attractive.
I think that's
a
key thing you have to bear in mind is you need to set it up so that it's appealing to a vacationer.
Right.
And a vacationer doesn't need as much closet space, but there's certain things like having a workspace available, as well as plenty of recreational space, and really having a lot to do outside in the immediate vicinity of the home is something that's like very important as well.
Yeah.
Because when people go on vacation in large groups, they like to be able to spread out a little bit, and people are able to do some things out back as well as, inside.
Yeah.
So I think that is definitely, something that needs to be looked at with people purchasing those types of properties. We also have some clients that we're helping with long-term properties, apartment buildings, that type of thing. The client that we helped, who's an overseas client, that we helped with a 44-unit last year, reached out to us a few months back because he was having some difficulty with the property manager that he had in the small town where the apartment building was located, getting the apartment booked out. So we were able to help him with some marketing strategies and listing those available units, doing some virtual staging, and just doing some different promotional things with videos, and we even utilized a drive-by tech approach where they could actually get additional information about the apartment complex by some signing that they put out front, which would actually share with them a preview of the units that were available and a contact number and website and all those types of things. So I think that really helped, and and from chatting with him, he's got the property stabilized at this point, and actually now, instead of having 10% vacancy rate or 15% vacancy rate, he's actually got a waiting list, which is pretty cool and pretty exciting.
That is exciting. So what's your favorite restaurant that we went to this past week? I feel like we've gone out quite a bit because we've been on the road quite a bit.
I don't know. I thought Arabesque was quite good.
It is quite good.
That we went to over by the house.
Surprisingly, I didn't even know. And I thought it was going to be kind of like skewers or like Mediterranean, but it's actually Middle Eastern. So it's got like things from like Turkey and Egypt, and I was like, oh, and we could ride our bikes to that place. It's so good. It's delicious.
Yeah, we ride our bikes everywhere. Yeah.
I would like to, but we don't.
Okay. How about you? What's your favorite restaurant?
Well, we were in Merritt Island. We have some things up there, and I love Pacific
Rim.
It's not my favorite restaurant, but it's my favorite restaurant on, on Merritt Island. I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah.
But that was so good. And we didn't even wait for the table. We sat at the bar, which we never do.
Yeah, we were
hungry.
They've got some red curry dishes and green curry dishes that are amazing.
Their rolls are amazing.
The rolls are phenomenal. And then they have this avocado crab meat appetizer called Monkey Brains.
Monkey Brains, yeah.
That is just epic. Yeah, good stuff.
I know. The next time I want to try Monkey Thumbs. Remember I was looking at that?
Yeah.
I was like, what are those?
That looked interesting.
Yeah, totally going to get that.
That looked interesting.
So, well, as always, it's fun working with you.
You too, babe.
Still.
Love you.
Love you too.